not one community, but two communities praying for you. How many places, only organists that can travel between the Methodist and the synagogue. What's that? You can't lose. Yeah, you can't lose. You got all these extra people praying for you. They need you to play, so they're definitely praying very hard. All right, so we're going to be using Mishkan Tefillah. For those of you coming in, wherever you are, this is what the book looks like. If you haven't gotten a book, you can raise your hand, and Bruce over here, who's sitting next to his mom, Rella, it's so nice to have them back together in the sanctuary. He can help you get the right place. For those of you online, you can access it on our website. And we have a service planned for this weekend. We have Father's Day. It's Juneteenth, which is officially a national holiday, so that will be part of our service. And Shabbat, of course. So we're going to begin on, we did Lachuna Ranana? We didn't do that yet.
No, we didn't do that.
Okay, so page 130, I think Cantor did this last week, so you might be familiar with it now. Lachuna Ranana, one of my favorites, 130.
Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, ladonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, ladonai. Naria, naria, ditzo yishenu, dikadma fana petota. Naria, naria, ditzo yishenu, bismira, naria lo. Clap your hands. Lekune ranena, lekune ranena, lekune ranena, ladonai. 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 Go forth singing songs of joy.
I think that they're starting to get that, and they had the clapping now. My youngest son, Noam, was teaching me how to clap today. He said, Abba, you got to put the hands together. I said, you see the air in the middle? That's what makes the loud sound there. It's always good.
But I think he was trying to teach you to clap like on the beat, right?
That would be impossible. I did go to a college class to try to achieve that, and for a limited time I could do it. You might notice during services, I'll look at you. What's the clapping to? We're going to turn to Candles and Kiddush, and it's my great pleasure and honor to welcome Hazel Karan to come up. She has her bat mitzvah tomorrow. We're so proud of her. So this is actually where you can see it situated. The Torah's over here. This is where she will be reading from. So the family that's with her right now, they can just take a look. This is where you want to sit tomorrow. All right, so Hazel, just make sure you're by the mic when you do it. Oh, we don't actually have candles, so we're going to pretend our candles are lit. We were used to our outdoor candles. I knew I forgot something there. Yeah. I should tell you the page. Page 120, sorry.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahidate ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. And if you want to lift the Kiddush cup there, don't worry, nothing in it. Just Borei Pri Hagaf.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech Haolam B'rei Puri Hagafen.
Amen. L'chaim. Thank you, Hazel. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to welcome in Shabbat officially, page 138 with L'chad Odi. We'll sing the first and the last verse. And I can actually say, those of you that are here, we rise on that last verse and we face the doorway, not Sheridan Drive. We face the doorway over here. We bow, and as is our custom now, we're going to turn to one another and wave. We'll pretend we're kings and queens here. Remember your wave. Okay, Paul, I have a serious question for you. We adopted our handshaking from the passing of the peace that's often done in Christian creeds. What do they do for passing of the peace over at the Methodist Church?
They just don't do it.
They don't do it, okay. They didn't adopt the waving? Oh, okay. Just checking, sorry. All right, we're going to remain standing for the Baruch Hu, page 146, our call to prayer.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
We remain standing, page 154, remembering God's love for us, Ahavat Olam.
I'm sorry, page 150. Page
150,
There we go.
apologies. Yeah,
Sorry.
154 would be at the V'ahavta.
Yeah, we're almost there. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chokim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu B'shokveinu v'komeinu Nasiach behukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'v'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu Ve'orech yameinu U'vahem negeh yomam v'layla.
Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Blessed are you, God, who loves your people Israel. Page 152, 153, Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem
You may be seated. I'd like to invite Hazel again over to lead us in the V'ahavta, page 154.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'elech asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shvitecha b'veitecha uv'lektecha v'aderech uv'shokbecha uv'komecha ukshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotefot bein einecha ukshartam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeti etchem Mi'eretz Mitzrayim Liot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Well done. Thank you. Let's continue in the English, page 155. Please join with me. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. Whether you are tired or you are rested, let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefronts of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. And we continue with the Mi Chamocha on page 158.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamo chavai di Adonai, mi chamo chane to bakodesh, norati le osefele, norati lo tosefele. Malachut chaba uvanecha, buki ayam ifnei Moshe, sirianu ve'ameru, sirianu ve'ameru, Adonai Eloh le'olam va'ed, Adonai Eloh le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
We're going to continue with Vishamru, and this is actually one of the songs I can probably clap with. 162. I'm always proud. I can clap to Vishamru.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asut et ha-Shabbat le'toratam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asut et ha-Shabbat le'toratam berit olam. Sheshet Yamim, Asa Adonai, Asa Adonai, Et HaShamayim, Ve'et HaAretz, V'shamru, B'nei Yisrael, Et HaShabbat, La'asur et HaShabbat, V'toratam berit olam. Uvayom HaShvi, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, V'shamru b'nei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, la'asur et HaShabbat, l'torotam berit olam.
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. I invite you to rise for the Amidah, the standing prayer, page 164. We'll do the beginning out loud through page 170.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu, v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibur v'Hanora, Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot, Ve'imahot, U'mevii Geula Lifnei B'neihem, Lema'an Shemo, Be'ahava, Melech Hozer, U'Moshiach, U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol, Atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid Atah, Mechalkel Chaim b'chesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, V'kamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melech, melech mevit, Umechayeh, Umatzliach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, V'chayei hakol. Atah kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehallelu selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
And we continue quietly through page 180, and whenever you're ready to be seated, you may be seated.
page 180.
Ose shalom, shalom Ibrahim, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, amen. Ose shalom, shalom Ibrahim, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen.
We turn to our healing prayer, Mishaberach, page 371. If you have names that you're thinking about, please let me know. I had a couple of notes here. 1 second. Here it is. We are thinking about Christopher Smith and Dr. and Mrs. Janice Suffren. If there's other names that you're thinking about? I forgot Mark Nightingale too, and Sue Hill as well. Mark was his shoulder. He fell on. Yeah, everyone kept falling this week. Paul Staley as well. We bring all those names together, page 371.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikol habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
A complete healing of body and soul. We send our good wishes out to those of us here and elsewhere for healing and happiness and hope. It's so easy in this day and age to get discouraged, and it's really, really important that we reach out to one another and do what we can to ease the burden. It really does make a difference when we ease someone's burden, and so we should continue to feel confidence in that, and that it matters. It really does. So tonight, I would like to dedicate my talk to Dr. Robert Milch. I mentioned him in my Torah Thoughts this week. I had the honor and pleasure of hearing him a number of years ago. He spoke here to our 6th and 7th grade classes as part of our ethics assignment. He was really an exemplar of ethics, and the kids were just captivated. Actually, when he came in, I I didn't know him at the time. I was new to Shir Shalom community, and I didn't know his extended family as well as I know today. I just saw he just was he had this thing about him. You could tell that he had this confidence and awareness and drive to just make this world better, no matter what it took. I am dedicating my talk because Hazel over here, who came up for her a couple of prayers already. This is Dr. Milch was Hazel's great uncle, and we're very blessed to have her. I'm also so we have I think Bob's, let's see, his brother. Allison was explaining the whole his brother was married. His sister was married to her father was married to the sister, right? So it's a very close connection, and it's not only a loss for our community, but it's certainly for the family. And I also know Heidi and Melissa Milch, who are wonderful people and good friends as well. So this week's Torah portion happens to really be about the subject that Dr. Milch dedicated his life, which is how we die and why it is so important to pay attention to those final moments, final days, final months, and also after, to the families and how they cope in that time. There is so much at stake in how that happens. I know for Cantor and myself and our extended community, some of the most important work we do is in that end-of-life care. We are part of that care system, but it's not just us. It's an extensive network that relies on the family network, but it really needs so much more than that. So this week's Torah portion, we have an example of both what it should look like at its best and what it shouldn't look like. I call the second approach the Berenstain Bears approach. If you remember, Papa Bear always did it the wrong way. Well, we learn also from our mistakes. So let me tell you about a good death first. And this is from the Torah portion Chukat. We're in the book of Numbers. The two people that die are Aaron and Miriam, siblings, both in chapter 20 of Numbers. So just before Aaron died in chapter 20, he was brought up to Mount Hor, somewhere in the Sinai wilderness. I believe Mount Hor is another name for Mount Sinai. He was stripped of his vestments, which were then handed to Aaron's son Eleazar, and then he was gathered unto the dead, as the Torah tells us. Now, this is a beautiful description, and there's quite a lot of care, a lot of customs we actually don't know today. And good thing is we have Rashi here, the medieval commentator, who tells us precisely what should have happened. This is what Rashi says. Moses clothed Aaron, his brother, in his priestly vestments, and then proceeded to strip them off. So he clothed them in order to take them off, to place them on his son in his presence. So you have a sense of it moving from one generation to not the passing of the priesthood. He, Moses, said to him, Aaron, enter the cave. And he entered. He saw a bed already made, or perhaps outspread with sheets, and a light burning. Moses said to him, ascend to the bed. And he ascended. Stretch out your hands. And he stretched them out. Close your mouth. And he closed it. Close your eyes. And he closed them. At that moment, Moses himself longed for that same death. And this is what was said to him by God. As Aaron, thy brother, died, the death for which you longed, you also will have. What a beautiful moment, this touching, dear moment where Moses, the brother, the younger brother of Aaron, takes care of Aaron, does all that he wishes, so much so that Moses wants the exact same thing for himself. Not only that, after Aaron dies, There is further description in the Torah, where the Torah says, when Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain, the whole community knew that Aaron had breathed his last breath. All the house of Israel bewailed Aaron 30 days. It's just so perfect. Everyone is allowed to mourn. So let me take you through the steps here. When Aaron came, and clearly he was very weak, there was a bed already made for him with sheets. A light was burning. He ascended. He was told to ascend to the bed. We can only imagine that he's almost lying down. He has very little strength at this time. And he's also told to close his eyes and mouth. What care? And then afterwards, we see a custom that we still have today. This is the one thing that tripped me up in the pre-rabbinical school exam, shloshim. Shloshim, just in case you're ever going to go to rabbinical school, if they have that on the list of terms. Shloshim is the 30 days after someone has died. And that's an important marker. It was in biblical times as in today. And we are in Shloshim for Dr. Milch. So now let's look at the bad death. Something that happens the way we would not want it to happen. And this is for Aaron's sister Miriam. This is the way her death is described at the beginning of chapter 20. The Israelites arrived at the wilderness of Zin on the first new moon, and the people stayed at Kadesh. Miriam died there and was buried there. That's it. Nothing else. Just a few perfunctory words about Miriam. Making it worse is Rashi. So this is one of the all-time worst comments I've ever read by the rabbis, but we have to understand they're in a very different world than we live in today. And some of the women here, if you want to cover your ears, because it's offensive to me. So he asked the question, why God doesn't intervene at all, why God isn't even mentioned in Miriam's death. And this is what Rashi reports. Because this would not be a respectful way of speaking about the Most High God, as it would have been a reference to a woman. So you can see a huge disparity. It's a gender disparity, but it's just an individual disparity. And we can see the result. At the end of Aaron's death, his beautiful ascension and the mourning process, the chapter ends. After Miriam dies, what happens? This is the very next verse. The people quarreled with Moses, saying, if only we had perished when our brothers perished at the instance of the Lord. Right before it said, the community was without water, and they joined against Moses and Aaron. We see what happens when you don't mourn properly, when you don't take the care that's necessary, it comes out in some other way. And in this case, it leads to quarreling and pain and frustration. It's not directly named because of Miriam's death and the lack of grief, but we can only imagine here. Miriam, of course, is known for providing water. She has the well, we know from the Passover Seder, with Miriam's cup and her special well. So let's go back to Robert Milch and the hospice movement that he helped to found. First of all, a definition of hospice. How many people here, since we have people, how many people here have seen a family member or a friend go through a hospice here? Yeah, it's quite incredible. Some people are afraid. I always encourage them. This is what it says about hospice. Hospice care focuses on the quality of life rather than its length. It provides humane and compassionate care for people in the last phase of incurable disease so that they may live as fully and comfortably as possible. How beautiful, really caring, not about the length of days, not trying to extend those days indefinitely in pain, but really taking care and appreciating that time, the time that we have, even in those last moments. The hospice movement was founded by a British physician, Dame Cicely Saunders, in the 1960s. She was a nurse and eventually trained as a doctor, and she really fought for this, and she opened the first facility in England there in the 1960s. It took a little while to get to America. There were people that were influenced by Dr. Saunders, and in 1974 in Brantford, Connecticut, was the very first hospice facility, 1974. Around that time, there's another woman, Charlotte Shedd. Some of you might know her. She was someone who came to Buffalo. She was not originally from here. And she saw what was possible, and she started advocating it. And she had a friend, Dr. Robert Milch. It was the two of them that combined in 1978, so only 4 years after Connecticut, for creating what I believe is the 11th facility in the country, and I'm not even sure what it would rank in the world, but pretty early on. During my time here, I have seen this incredible organization. I remember the first time I went there on Como Park Boulevard. It's such a beautiful campus. I've had a chance to work with medical students there. They have an education campus. They also have offices. Rabbi Adam Schelt, who's the head chaplain there, he showed me the back offices. I couldn't believe there's another building. I mean, it's really quite immense, and it's quite something. And it's not just the hospice center. They care for all the hospice and coordinate all the hospice across this entire region. Most people have hospice in their home, or perhaps in a hospital or in another place, not just at the facility. This is something that when you're in that moment and you really can't care for your loved one, you want them to have a comfortable place. If you've ever gone on a tour there, it's really remarkable. Each room has an identity. It's the same care that I described with Moses and Aaron. The light, the way the furniture is. It doesn't look like a hospital room. It looks like a home. There's even special kitchen areas for all the family to go in, with food provided as well. And round the clock, of course, 24-hour nursing care, the top in this whole community, people that are very caring and compassionate. So let me tell you a story that happened recently to me, just how important a good death is. There's a woman, Marilyn Kriegel. I had buried her husband a number of years ago, and she was a violinist, her ex-husband, apologies, in the Buffalo Symphony. Wonderful woman with a strong identity. She always loved learning, her independence as well, of course. And she had two wonderful daughters, Heidi and Rachel. About 4 months ago or so, her eyesight started to go, and she started to decline. She was living on her own at the time. Her daughter stepped right in, helping with the care, every single stage of that care. Not only that, but Marilyn had actually written up instructions. She was a very thoughtful person. She told them exactly what to do, what she cared about, what she wanted. She was very clear. And they felt they were part of the team. When I arrived at the cemetery last week, they said they wanted to get there first so that they could travel with her casket all the way from the funeral home to the cemetery and bring her to her final resting place. And we sat there. Her instructions had been just to sit and to tell stories with her closest loved ones. And we sat there and we listened. One of her daughters brought out a note that I love. She had written in her own handwriting, but this was from her mom. Look up to streams of light and song where no one says farewell. What a beautiful note. And I could see by her daughters, even though they wished that their mom could have lived longer, they knew it was a good death, and they were comfortable. And I know in talking to Robert Milch's family that it was the same thing. He died in the hospice center under the care of the people that he helped perhaps to train, to work with, to nurture. There was an unbelievable thing that happened at the service last week. My wife was there, and she told me they had a violin and wonderful speakers, but in the middle of it, they had a surprise for the family. They renamed the facility after Dr. Milch. How wonderful. It was such an amazing moment. This is the way we have a good death. His death teaches us, his life teaches us, and we learn from one another. May we all have the opportunity to be like Aaron, to really be surrounded and mourned for in the way that we cared for. And may Miriam also have in her afterlife, be able to be redeemed in that way. As we say, Zikronam Livracha, may their memories always be for a blessing. We have a beautiful song, and I wore my special mask here. Does it say it right? I had it backwards before. This is Sedek Serdop. Is it upside down? I don't even know. I can't see. Okay, let's see.
I think it's.
Oh, do I have it? Oh, there it is. There it is. Yeah, see, it's there. Sedek Terdov. This is, we have Juneteenth to tomorrow on Hazel's bat mitzvah. I'm going to invite Cantor. She picked out a wonderful song. I haven't heard it before, but I don't know if you want to tell us anything further.
Well, there was a convention last week of the Women Cantors Network, and they had commissioned a song by Sue Radner Horowitz, and she came up with this one, and it was a tremendous hit at this convention, and everyone is sharing the music now and everything, so I wanted to play this for you. It is in honor of Juneteenth, and the words of this song are sourced from Abraham Joshua Heschel, Leviticus 19, Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our ancestors, Genesis 1, and Martin Luther King, and again Leviticus, later on in Leviticus. So there's a lot of Jewish text in here, and the crux of it is Tzedek, Tzedek, Tirdof. Justice, justice shall you pursue. 2, 3, 4. Try with me. Sedek, 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 Tidov. Sedek, 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 Tidov. We rise for inequality. We are marching in the street. We rise for human dignity. We are praying with our feet. Sedek, 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 Tidov. Sedek, 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 Tidov. Sedek, 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 Tidov. Sedek, 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 Tidov. We rise for those without a voice. We pledge to be an ally. We rise for those without a choice. We will not stand idly by. Sedek, try with me. Sedek, Sedek, Tidov. Sedek, 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 Tidov. Sedek, 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 Tidov. Sedek, 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 Tidov. We all have a part you be. Can't do it all alone. Need community. No one is free.
Tselem Elohim. We rise to meet the stranger. We make a freedom call. We rise together. Justice, justice for us all. Tzedek, 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 tidor. Tzedek, 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 tidor. Tzedek, 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 tidor. Tzedek, 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 tidor.
What a wonderful song. Thank you. And it's so wonderful to be, even though, with the Zoom world, that we can really hear and experience things all over the place that you might not have. So wonderful. So when you go to the convention, any convention outside of Buffalo, or you hear it, you'll say, you heard it first here. We're going to rise now for Aleinu, page 586, if you're able.
Aleinu shabiot ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא שם פיגועי ארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וקורבננו ככל המנום. אנחנו קוראים ולשתחווים מודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ויאמר יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated. We're going to turn to the Mourner's Kaddish now, page 598. And I have over here a plaque that will be going up on our Shir Shalom plaque board over here. This is in honor of Mildred Sachs, who just about made 100 years old. So very, very close. I don't know. It was like a couple of months difference, I think. 3 months. So she made it to her 100th year, though. This is June 30th, 2020. We have her yard site coming, her very first one. Of course, during the pandemic, luckily we had pretty nice weather for it, but we do miss Millie. She was a wonderful person, and we'll put this up for Terry over there, and we send comfort to you in this time, and hopefully you'll know how important your mom is in our communal hearts here. She'll always be sitting right about where Harvey is there. We also are remembering today on our Shloshim list, Pauline Brummer, Barry Cohen, Charles Colada, Marilyn Kriegel, and Dr. Robert Milch. On our yard-site list from years past, we remember Doris Ellen Applebaum, Harry Heshy Balsam, James Bonus, Ann Bunis, Ida Chodorow, Alan Cohn, Suzanne Cohn, Stanley Chorus. Okay, now I'm understanding. Joseph Engel, Mary Etkin, Lena Fried, Cecily Friedman, Harry Friedman, Jacob Freudenheim, Barbara Goldstein, Louis Karnofsky, Goldie Kaufman, Bertha Krupnik, Sophie Queller, Adolph Lansing, Rose Lieberman, Sam Paris, Lila Patikoff, Maurice J. Posner, Riva Posner, Ruth Ann G. Rakin, Samuel M. Resnick, William A. Rosenthal, Mildred Millie Sachs, Rudolph Schiller, Charles Schwartz, S. Asina Schweitzer, Harry Seitz, Evelyn B. Sellers, Arkady Shargratsky, Clara Sommer, Max Sommer, Paul Sommer, Arthur Stein, Marshall Weinstein, Dorothy Wisniewski, Sybil Yaloff, and Estelle M. Eud. If you have other names, please just raise your hand. And we invite all those whose custom it is to rise. Again, page 598 for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal, v'yitkadash, shemei rabbah, v'yalma, divra, chirete, v'yamlik, malchute, v'chayachon, v'yamachon, v'chaye, dechol beit Yisrael, v'agalah, v'vizman, kariv, v'yimaru, amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam omei amaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudasha b'rechu. Le'la min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata damiran b'alma v'yimaru amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya Chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimaru amen. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world, and we say amen. You may be seated. Zikranam levracha. May their memories be for a blessing. Now I'm going to invite up Bruce Chorus to offer our announcements. And Bruce, just tell me, would your dad been okay? Was I slow enough? Okay.
He would have been pleased with that. You did it at a very good pace. Shabbat shalom, everyone. We hope you enjoyed Plan B. What a nice thing, though, that we're able to do this. Last year, all summer long, if the weather didn't cooperate and we couldn't do a park and pray, what did we do? The rabbi and the cantor came inside. We did a live stream, and no one was able to attend. This year, bit by bit, we're bringing more people inside, and we're able to do this. So when the weather doesn't cooperate, boom, we come inside. And that's no big deal. As I said at the congregational meeting, the new normal is beginning to look more and more like the old normal. And we will continue to plan, we will continue to discuss things and look at options, and we'll continue to put your safety first in whatever we do. But it's nice to be together indoors if we can't be out in the parking lot. So anyway, Shabbat Shalom again. Mazel Tov to Hazel Curran and her family on her upcoming bat mitzvah tomorrow morning. Thank you to Rabbi Alex Cantor Frank. And because we were inside, special guest star, what's his name over there, Paul Staley, with the fingers? Anyway, very nice to have you all together. We would like to thank our ushers tonight, Andy and Jacob Abramowitz, Sherry, Joe, and Lil Reich. Todd Sugarman was helping out as well. It's nice to have people gather together, and when we do stuff like this, we have to get you to your seats and get everything taken care of, and it's nice to get the help from members of our board for that. Thank you for that. Tomorrow morning, in addition to the bat mitzvah of Hazel Curran and the Shabbat morning service, which is at 10:30, prior to that, there's Torah study at 9 a.m. Everything is on, Torah studies on Zoom. The bat mitzvah is on Boxcast, Facebook, and YouTube. You got that? There'll be a test later. Okay, just making sure. Anyway, the website has the links for all of those. Wednesday night, we have something special. We have a men's group meeting, and the guest speaker is Gan Erez, the new Chief Program Officer from the JCC. He will speak about politics in Israel, which is an interesting and timely topic. Thank you to Dan Kester, our men's group president, for continuing to arrange such interesting speakers. And we want to thank Ganila Kester. This last night we had our Buffalo Corner reading series wrapping up for a couple months, and she has been responsible for doing that. We thank her for that, and this has been an interesting group of speakers, readers, we should say, and that will continue in the fall, resume in the fall. Next Friday, weather permitting, we will be out in the parking lot for a park and pray fingers crossed on that one. Clearly, the rabbi doesn't have quite as much clout as we thought he would, but that's okay. This Tuesday, this is more important than anything else I've said, well, except for your bat mitzvah. Other than that, this is the most important thing, which is Tuesday we have Shabbat, right? How important is that? So Tuesday night, Tuesday from 4 to 7, our next Shabbat, or until sold out. If you go to the website, you can order in advance, guarantee you'll get a meal, and save $1 by ordering in advance. We want to remind you, coming up August 2nd is our summer celebration at Transit Valley Country Club. It is back this year. There's golf, there's lunch, there's dinner. They've added a winery and beer tour, I believe. So lots of stuff going on. If you would like to participate in any way, if you'd like to attend, if you'd like to be a sponsor, just talk to Joanne about it or talk to Tom Lansing. If you have not booked a cabin yet for the Jewish Heritage Cruise in Europe, which is planned for the summer of 2022, book fast. Cabins are going fast. Paul's daughter arranged this through the AAA. A number of you I know have already signed up, and it's a really cool agenda. So if you're interested in learning more, Robin Rayfield is here tonight. You can chat with her. She can tell you a little bit more about it. Or Alan Gellin. One of them can tell you about it. Or talk to Paul, as a matter of fact. If you need anything at all, please reach out to the rabbi, the cantor, Joanne, or myself. We are always here for you. Have a wonderful Shabbat and happy Father's Day on Sunday. You know that Rabbi, did you know that there's a precursor hint of Father's Day in the Torah? Passover. How did we sit at Passover? We recline. The first recliner. Anyway, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Bruce, you outdid yourself. Somewhere up there, your father is smiling. I just want to give a shout out to Joyce over here, who had her 90th birthday in February, I guess, but she finally got to have her family in town from California, Ohio. I don't know. It seems like they're from all over the place, so welcome and happy birthday, Joyce, again. You can celebrate the whole year, I think, at this.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I think it's Ryan's birthday. Was it your birthday this week? Yeah. I thought I remember that. Okay.
Happy birthday.
Well, I read somewhere that we can live to 160 possibly. That's the projection. So even if you're 90, you still got another 70 years. So that's good. Yeah. I mean, that blows my mind if that ever comes to be. 160. Okay. We're now at our final hymn, Adon Olam, 625.
Adon Olam, Hashem Malach, B'terem go, Yitzir Nivra, Li'ed Nasa, B'chefzo Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, Yacharei, Kiklot HaKol, Levado Yimlok Nora, Ve'hu Haya, Ve'hu Hover, Ve'hu Yeh V'tifara, Adon Olam, Hashem Malach, B'terem go, Yitzir Nivra, Li'ed Nasa, B'chefzo Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, Ve'hu Echad, V'yein Sheni, L'chamishi lo l'chachbira, B'li Reshit, B'li Tachlit, V'lo ha'oz v'ha'vir Mitzrah, Adon Olam, Hashem Malach, B'terem go, Yitzir Nivra, Li'ed Nasa, B'chefzo Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, Ve'hu Eli, V'chayku Ali, ראשון והעירה, אמרוכי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא, אדללם השם מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, מעת נצר בחפצו כל, הזר מלך שמו נקרא.
All right, Hazel, we have one final thing, and you can keep the challah if you guys want. So come on over and lift up our challah and say the hamotzi. There is a challah in there. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Mazel tov. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Please return. I love it. We could say it, Bruce. Please return your prayer books to their place. And I believe Joanne has is there ice cream back there? Ice cream treats in the back. Shabbat shalom.